So, welcome to the stream. Let's get to it. So today I want to have a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hype, and I think Pump Fund as well. I think Pump Fund has been really outperforming the market if you look at that. But I'm not gonna go there later on. Let's have a look at Bitcoin first. This is what I always do. So I haven't looked at the market at all today. So this is a fresh routine for me as well. All right, let's go to the higher time frame. Let's see how the weekly candle closed on Bitcoin. Okay, so the weekly candle still closed under resistance, right? We have this weekly supply zone right there, and Bitcoin didn't manage to close above. However, we still do have weekly bullish diversions playing out, and by the looks of it, it's still valid. So there's no reason to be bearish right now at the moment, in my opinion, because we have this weekly bullish diversions playing out at the moment. If we go to the daily time frame, I can already see that on the RSI momentum, reclaimed the 50 mark and this high right there. So the structure on the RSI is looking good. The daily momentum is looking good. But Bitcoin is still under resistance, right? We still have this high to overcome. We know that this zone right here, this red zone is the supply zone on the weekly time frame, and we have this wick as well. So what is happening right now is that we are actually trading above above the wick high. So this high was 65k.6 and this is 60k.7. Okay, so we actually swept liquidity. This was a potential short scenario, and we actually do have bearish divergence. But what we do not have is we do have increasing volatility. Usually I like to have decreasing volatility for these kinds of plays, but for now volatility even on the lower time frame is at 100 percentile. So I'm not trusting that short setup. So for those people who haven't been in my streams lately, my potential short idea was to short the sweep of these highs, you know, like these highs and this high, take liquidity and potentially SFP. You can try it here because you have for our bullish bearish divergence, but on the 50-minute chart there is no valid bearish divergence at the moment, right? Because the RSI closed above this bearish divergence and basically invalidated the bearish divergence, and this is the reason why I don't want to short right now. Like if this would be actually a valid bearish divergence on the 50-minute charts, then I would consider a short. But it's just too risky for me at the moment. It can still work out, but I have to stick with my strategy and my plan. And if we don't have 50 minutes bearish divergence, you know, I just can't take the trade. Hey, what's up, Kirby? Nice to see you. Yeah, so for me, the Bitcoin short is not valid right now. Even though price action is pulling back a bit right now, but it's probably just gonna go back towards 65k 100 and then try for another bounce. Like as long as there's no valid bearish divergence on the 50-minute charts, I'm not considering any shorts at the moment. You only use the 50-minute RSI. I don't only use the RSI on the 50-minute charts. So for example, on this trade right here, right? So it's swept liquidity and you have for 4-hour bearish divergence. But for me personally, you don't have to do it in the same way. But for me, for my personal trading, I like to have. Okay, so I see the 4-hour bearish divergence, right? And then I go to the 50-minute charts, and I don't have that same divergence on the 50-minute charts, right? We do have the divergence right there, but the next candle invalidated the 50-minute bearish divergence. And if I'm playing a divergence, an RSI divergence, I want to have the RSI divergences aligned with each other. So most of the times, if you have, for example, a 4-hour divergence, you will have valid divergence on the 50-minute charts as well. But since this is not the case for this price action right now, it's making me question the validity of the 4-hour bearish divergence, you know? Like there might be a case where price action basically comes down, goes back into the support, and then bounces again, and then it has another bearish divergence, you know? This could be a play, and then you have valid bearish divergence, but I just like to have RSI momentum align on each time frame with each other, if that makes sense. So this is a bit of a tricky situation, because the 4-hour bearish divergence is valid, right? But on lower time frame, it's looking a bit different. So I'm gonna be being cautious. I don't want to get blown out. Like I'm a really conservative trader. Like an aggressive trader, I would definitely enter here, right? But that's simply not my style. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work, you know. So for Bitcoin, what I like to see, so if I'm speaking from a bullish point of view, you know, if I'm a bull and I'm in a long position, for example, what I like to see for Bitcoin is to actually close above these highs, because so far it hasn't done that. It only swept the highs, but it didn't close a 4-hour candle above that. But if Bitcoin eventually closes a 4-hour candle above these highs, this will be a really, really strong signal for continuation higher. And what I mean by that is I can, at minimum, if that were to happen, at minimum, I would see these highs being tested around 67K. And ideally, Bitcoin pushes even up more towards this confluence zone here at 68K, but also around 71 and 74K. So these would be my areas of interest and my targets if Bitcoin actually manages to close a 4-hour candle above these highs that I mentioned earlier. But if that doesn't happen, like if it doesn't manage to close a 4-hour candle above, it's going to be looking bearish, right? Because Bitcoin is at range highs. This is just a massive range right here, right? It is at range highs. So there's also potential to short it, right? From a risk to reward ratio, it makes the most sense for people to short here, because you have an easy invalidation. Like this high right here is your invalidation for shorts, right? So you can, as a trader with a short bias, you could also say, okay, Bitcoin is at range highs, it has bearish divergence, this is what my invalidation looks, and my target would be range lows, right? This is simple range trading. And shorts have a really easy invalidation right now. So Bitcoin is in a tricky situation. And as long as there's no 4-hour closure above these range highs, there's no reason to be bullish. But if it does close a 4-hour candle above, it's bullish. Like it's actually bullish in my eyes. At least for the foreseeable future, right? You guys know my higher time frame bias. My higher time frame bias is still bearish. I don't think the bottom is in yet. Like Bitcoin, it takes a lot of time for Bitcoin to form a bottom, right? Like you don't form a bottom just with one month of worth of price action, you know? Like the most likely thing to do for Bitcoin to do is push up higher, potentially into the Woodsbot level here around 74k, then goes back, and then it has two options, right? It can hold this support line and then range for a while. And if this is a bottom area for Bitcoin, it's gonna take weeks and months to form, right? Like this is not something that like this is really unlikely to be the bottom. At least you have at least you are gonna have price action eventually retesting this area, and then it confirms it as a local support zone, or it actually goes below the next area, right? Because the overall higher time frame trend is still to the downside. But what we are seeing right now is just a bounce inside a downtrend, right? So for the next couple of days and potentially weeks, the bias is to the upside, but the higher time frame bias is still to the downside, or at least weeks and months of consolidation. So if that opportunity arises that the 4-hour candle closes above these highs, don't bet your house on that, okay? Like this is just a bounce. It's not a trend reversal. So keep that in mind. Don't risk too much. 0.66 fib for higher time frame. I don't use the 0.66 Fibonacci number. What Fibonacci numbers I use are, I'm just going to show you guys this. So I use the 0.236, the 0.382, the 0.5, 618, 6969 is not a Fibonacci number, as well as 0.5 is also not a Fibonacci number, but it still has a psychological effect. Same with the 7.5 is also not a Fibonacci number, but I also use the 786 and the 886. So these are the numbers that I use for my Fibonacci retracement tool. I don't have experience with the 0.66 number. So yeah, I would say be patient. Wait for the next 4-hour candle to close. I don't see a reason to blindly long or to blindly short right now. Yes, you have the 4-hour divergence, but you don't have any divergence on the 50-minute charts, right? If you get 50 minutes bearish divergence, then we can have a talk as well. But as long as that doesn't happen, be patient. I would say be patient is the best advice I can give you guys right now. But this is definitely an interesting spot right now. Like this is do or die for Bitcoin, you know, when it comes to range trading. All right, I don't think I have anything else for Bitcoin. So personally, I'm just gonna wait for the next 4-hour candle to close, and I'm gonna wait and see. Okay, where is it gonna close? Is it gonna close above? If it's gonna close above, you can potentially long this. You know, you can long this level. Use the swing low right there as your invalidation, and your target would be maybe even around 74k. You know. But at minimum, you should be able to test this high around this level. So this would be a long scenario if Bitcoin manages to close above the 4-hour candle. And if it doesn't, well, you can also look for shorts if you have the proper confluences. And this would be an invalidation for shorts, right? And your targets would be range lows. Alright, do you guys have any questions so far? any questions about Bitcoin or the logic behind my analysis so far? Oh, it looks like everyone is understanding so far. Perfect. Let's have a look at Pump Fund, because Pump Fund is probably the most exciting coin to trade at the moment. Where do I have it? There it is. Okay. So, if you guys, I don't know if some of you guys were in the stream when I pointed it out, but I was pointing out this range, right? And it's a pretty similar range as Bitcoin is, right? As the range on Bitcoin, right? Like you also had a couple of retests into this range highs, and you rejected a couple of times, right? But then it finally closed a massive impulsive candle upward. Like this is an engulfing candle. And if you have such a strong engulfing impulsive move above range highs, and it actually closes above range highs like this is not a candle where you should be expecting a pullback. Like if you see this in price action, like you're not gonna get a range high retest, you know? Like you're not gonna see price action retesting the range highs and then pump back up. If you have such an impressive engulfing candle to the upside on range highs, this is a confirmed breakout, and a real strong proper breakout should not retest range highs. Price action will retest range highs, and that's fine, but it's not as strong like this one, right? And you can see how price action, after it closed above the range highs, how it behaved. It consolidated for some time, but it never gave you a pullback, right? Like it left people sidelined, and you had this nice consolidation for almost 5 days. And this was your opportunity to get into Pump Fund, right? Because on a candle like this, you're never gonna get the range highs retest. And now Pump Fund is yet again sitting at resistance. So it had another impulsive move to the upside, right? And now it's consolidating. The question is when it's gonna be breaking out or not, right? Or is it gonna pull back, or is it gonna consolidate for a while? And you can see it, for example, on the volatility indicator as well, right? Oh. So volatility is what I use to basically time these range breakouts. And you can see that once volatility was increasing right here, you can see how price action actually broke out of the range, right? And then you can see volatility is decreasing, right? It's decreasing a lot. And this is where you get your consolidation. And then you can see volatility expanded from the lows again, right? And then you had another range breakout. So it's really, really easy to time these kind of range breakouts if you use volatility, just by looking at the indicator, right? You don't have to be an expert in when it comes to volatility to be able to read this. And now what we're seeing is volatility is decreasing again, right? So Pump Fund is currently consolidating as well. It's forming a range again, and you can see volatility is decreasing once again. So similar to this right here, right? It basically makes the same thing again, and this is really healthy in a strong uptrend for a coin. You're not gonna be able to really get strong pullbacks, right? Like you're not gonna be able to Actually, let me. Oh, what the fuck did I? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck did I do to my trading view? Okay. I don't know what happened. So basically what I wanted to show you guys, a strong uptrend is gonna look like this, you know? You have an impulsive move up, a small pullback, and then you form a base. You have consolidation, and then it moves up again. What people are expecting in a strong uptrend is gonna be this. People think, okay, this will be a staircase pattern, right? But this is not how most strong uptrends are gonna look like. Strong uptrends are gonna look like this. It's pumping up, it consolidates, and it's pumping up again. This is a signal of strength in the market for a coin. If you have something like this, yes, it's still an uptrend, right? But it's not as strong as this one. And this is what's happening on Pump Fund at the moment. And which is the reason why I'm so interested in this coin, because it doesn't give you lots of pullbacks options, but it consolidates just for quite some time, right? Can you show that on replay? Like, how does it look in real time? Yeah, for sure. You mean the volatility, right? I'm gonna mark out the range highs once more. I'm gonna go into the replay tool. Oh wait, I'm on the fucking wrong time frame. This is the proper time frame. Apologies. Let's do this once more. Actually, let's go to this one. All right. So how does volatility look like when it's? So this is what. So this is what my ideal volatility signal looks like. If you have a cross, so volatility is coming from the lows, right? It's coming from the lows. It was at what is it, 2 percentile, which is really low for volatility, and then it crosses it to the upside, right? But for me, volatility works at its best when it has a cross above the moving average. So the white line you see right here, this is the moving average from the volatility indicator. And the colored line, this is the volatility itself. And the white line is the moving average. And if you have the volatility crossing the moving average, this is where you get the best signals for increasing volatility. Because sometimes volatility can also look like this, right? Right here. You can basically see that volatility is increasing, but it's sort of just consolidating, right? And the confirmation for volatility for me is if the volatility itself and the moving average crosses above 15 percentile. Which was the case right here. So the volatility is around 38 percentile and the moving average is around 14.6. This is good enough for me. And if you have a volatility cross happening above 15 percentile, this is a confirmed signal for me that volatility is increasing. And the only thing that you need after that is direction and momentum. Because volatility is directional neutral, right? It doesn't tell you where the direction is where price action is going to pump or dump into. It just tells you, okay, volatility is increasing. It means a move is coming, right? This is all volatility does. So what I do is when I see this kind of increasing volatility is that I look for lower time frame price action and lower time frame RSI momentum. But you can see volatility is increasing. It had the moving average cross to the upside, and then it retested the volatility, the moving average, and it bounced off the moving average, right? Let's have a look at that again. You can see how it bounced off this moving average, right? On the volatility indicator. Boom. It retested, and then you had increasing volatility on Vola. You have a range high breakout. Now, if you have this sort of price action, if you have this kind of volatility, this is extreme volatility, right? It's at 100 percentile. And if you have volatility at 100 percentile, well, chances are it's not gonna pump more than that. And this is why you get consolidation afterwards. Because volatility reached its peak, you know? There's not more the price action can do than other than being at 100% percentile for volatility. And if you have 100% volatility, it's very likely that price action is not gonna dump, but it's at least consolidate for some time, which happened right after that, right? The market moves in swings. And this means that volatility measures these swings, you know? And if we know the market moves in swings and volatility measures that, we know, okay, if volatility is decreasing and it's at resistance, well, chances are it's gonna pull back a bit and it's gonna be consolidating for some time. And you can see this here as well. Volatility is decreasing, price action is pulling back after it hit resistance, and now it's going to be consolidating for some time. And the same way price action works, when price action makes lower highs on market structure, right? The same way it applies to volatility as well. So you see volatility made a lower high compared to this high, right? And this is the same way it works on price action as well. If you see volatility making lower highs, well, it's going to be a longer consolidation, because now volatility is downtrending. Maybe it has a swing up again, but ultimately it's going to be heading towards 0 percentile. This is just how volatility works. Volatility always oscillates between 100 and 0. I'm just going to let it play out a bit. You can see volatility is decreasing. It still had no moving average touch, right? It's still creeping down below these lows. It's still not expanding really. Still consolidating, still no cross to the upside. And now it had another, what the fuck happened now? Well, that I don't know what the fuck happened right now. But you see, after it crossed the moving average again, right? It had another move to the upside. Wait, I'm on the fucking wrong coin. This is where it is. Yeah. So it consolidated for a while, and then you can see it crossed above the moving average, right? And it bounced off the moving average. Maybe it's hard to see because it's so small. Let's make it bigger. You see how it is crossing above the moving average after creeping at 0 percentile for quite some time. Then it crossed the moving average. And then after for me, 15 percentile is the key number. After it crossed 15 percentile, it pumped like crazy, right? On the 1 hour, you can see it even more clearly when this moving average cross happened. And this is where, for me, the volatility was confirmed, right? So this candle closed around 9 percentile, the next one 23. And even if you take the next candle, you can see, okay, volatility is confirmed increasing. The trend is to the upside, momentum is to the upside, and then you get such a banger move, you know. So this was a confirmed signal, right? You had momentum to the upside, you had market structure to the upside, and you had confirmed increasing volatility on the 1 hour, right? And this was a signal to get long, and this is what happens afterwards. Even though it still took some hours, right? Like it still took 4 hours to break out of the range. But this is why volatility is so nice for me, in my opinion. And I don't understand why people do not utilize it more. Because it literally tells you when to fucking long or short inside a range. Like, which trader gives you better entries than that, you know? Like, the volatility gives you these entries. Like, it's so crazy for me. Like, what more do you want? Yes, it's not the... it might not be the picture perfect entry, right? Like, it's 1.6% after it confirmed the entry. But, I mean, this is still fucking good, right? And after this volatility increase, you know, okay, price action is actually gonna break out of this range. And then it pumped 23%. The volatility name is BBWP, but you can use any volatility indicator. It all basically does the same thing. I'm hoping that we get our own Woodsbot version of volatility eventually as well. This would be mega nice. But yeah, this is basically how volatility can help you, especially in range trading, right? And now it's the same thing again for pump fun. You have, when you look at the 4-hour candle, you have decreasing volatility. So it's probably going to be consolidating for some time, you know. Momentum is also to the downside at the moment on the RSI. It needs to cool down a bit, you know. When it comes to price action for pump farm, it is at range highs. So for me, there's no reason to enter into any longs on pump farm just yet. I'm gonna wait for some consolidation on pump farm. I'm gonna be watching volatility and see when is volatility gonna cross to the upside again, increase, because this will be my signal to get long on pump farm again. But now it's at resistance. It is consolidating. It's pullback. It's having a pullback at the moment. So there's no reason to FOMO. You can also just base your entry based on market structure, right? You have this massive confluence zone right here. You have all these highs, all of price action reacting off this resistance. So you can also just wait for price action to close a daily candle above this level, or even this level if you want to be super conservative. And once price action closes a daily candle above this size or above this confluence zone, well, I think sky is the limit for pump fun. Like, really, sky is the fucking limit, you know. If pump fun actually closes above, what is it, 0.0228, if it closes a daily candle above that level, I think it's gonna pump a lot, like quite a bit. If we look at Fibonacci, let me have a look at that. Yeah, okay. So if the daily closes above 0.228, I think it's gonna be pumping towards 0.04, like around 80%. and that minimum 30 and another 30% after that. Because for me, the 0.236 Fibonacci level, this is a minimum target, you know. This is a minimum target for me when it comes to trading. This would be massive. Like, I'm really looking to get into another long, into pump fund. I already closed my long before that, took profits, but man, like I had such a good entry. I closed way too early. But yeah, pump fund is looking really nice. One of the best looking altcoins at the moment. Other than that, hype is gonna take some more time. I don't see how hype is gonna make new all-time highs or anything like that anytime soon. It lost its market structure, right? Yeah, like hype made higher lows all the way, right? But with this recent price action, hype actually lost its market structure from this price action. So I would rather look for shorts on hype than longs at the moment. I want this confluence zone. I want 65. This is where I would be looking for shorts on hype. I think this aligns also with Fibonacci numbers and the confluence zone. So you already have good confluence at this level. So yeah, hype is not looking the best. I don't think it's bearish at all. Like if you look at the monthly chart, it's still in a strong uptrend, right? But there's definitely a world where hype is gonna come back into 42 or 48. So yeah, I would be looking for shorts in hype. I want this 65 level. I'm actually gonna set myself an alert for this confluence zone. Most likely I'm gonna be taking this trade. So if this would be my entry, if I have confirmed bearish diversions, my invalidation would be above this high. Actually, I guess you can also use this as your invalidation. And then my target would actually be this range low. So this would be my trade setup for hype, for a potential hype short. But again, in order for me to enter this trade, I would need bearish diversions, right? And if I don't have bearish diversions, I'm not gonna be entering this trade. So don't blindly set any limits for this, okay? You need confirmation, especially when it comes to my strategy. Can you please share BBWP by whom? If you just type in BBWP, it's from the caretaker. It's completely free, so it's not a sponsorship or anything. Yeah, so this is what I'm eyeing for hype. I'm gonna keep an eye on pump farm as well. Bitcoin, I already talked about it, what my triggers are. And Ethereum, how is Ethereum looking? Ethereum was coming into resistance. It's not at resistance yet, but is there potential for bearish diversions? Let me see. Yeah, so there's definitely potential for bearish diversions. You know, the RSI is quite low, and if Ethereum pushes up a bit, and the RSI goes maybe towards 73, there's potential for bearish diversions and potential for a short. But right now there's no potential for a long or short on Ethereum. But I would be interested to potentially short this level right here. Or this level. There might be bearish diversions when it reaches this level, you know. So I'm gonna set myself alerts for this one as well. But I would rather short Bitcoin than Ethereum, because Ethereum has been stronger than Bitcoin at the moment. ETH BTC is looking quite good. So I would rather be looking for shorts on Bitcoin. Alright, these were all the coins that I wanted to talk about. So if you guys have any questions for me, I can go over that. Other than that, this would be my content for the stream. What about Taro? Let's have a look at that. Well, man, that looks fucking ass, no? What the fuck? I mean, it has been, it kept its, it always managed to hold the support zone, right? Like, somehow it always managed to hold the support. And like, I'm not a pattern guy, but some of you guys probably know this pattern. Maybe it's like a, I don't know, like a pizza pattern or something like that. I don't know how they call it these days. Or some sort of bull wedge or something. But just watching price action, like just watching the higher time frame, you know, like this is not ideal RSI momentum. Like this, I don't know, like momentum wise, it's not looking the best. Volatility is kind of dead, at least on the daily time frame, so I'm not expecting any new lows right now, or like any macro lows, right? But I don't know. Even though it's sitting at support, and it is sitting at a big area, right? I might be interested when it sweeps this low. Like if it sweeps this low and closes back above, I think this will be a good signal. But I mean, it's sitting at support. Like that's something. It's sitting at support. It's sitting at daily support. Like it has something going on. But I would. I mean, probably, let's be honest, like this is, you know, you have better potential in other coins to trade. Let's be real. Like, if you're looking to trade anything, fucking trade pump fund or trade hype, or even Ethereum has more volatility and volume, and you know, like you have to think, like there might be potential in the future for Taro. I don't think it's doomed or anything. Especially if it holds range lows, but it's gonna take time, you know. And if you are looking to trade this coin when it has no volatility at all, no volume, I think it's your best bet is to spend your time elsewhere and other coins. Like I don't see a reason why you should trade this coin when you can also trade coins like Pump Farm, you know. Like especially in crypto, people are so quick to rotate into any coins, and you need to do this as well, you know. Trade the coins that are hot, and I don't mean that you need to trade coins that only pump or something. You can also trade coins that are fucking mega dumping, you know. But trade something that has volatility. Trade something that a lot of people are interested in. Because I don't for real, like I don't see any reason to trade this. When it comes to an investment perspective, I don't have a trigger to say, okay, this is the bottom as well, you know. Like even like it even broke the daily bullish divergence. So even if you're looking to invest into this coin, I don't see a reason to it. Like it doesn't look like a bottom to me. There's no bullish divergence in the higher time frame. Momentum is looking kinda ass. Yeah, I don't see any reason to touch this coin when it comes to long-term investment or when it comes to trading. But if it consolidates, like, you know, maybe it consolidates for some time, for a couple of months, then it might be interesting if it manages to hold the support level, you know. All right. Any other questions? All right. Looks like everyone is fine. So I will call it a day here. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming to the stream. I hope you guys learned something. I think it was a really interesting session about volatility, especially. So thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you guys for having me. I'm gonna be streaming next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday. Yeah. I'm gonna see you guys on that Wednesday, 6 p.m. same time. And Woods is gonna be streaming tomorrow, I think. Yeah. So you have something to look forward to. Woods is gonna be streaming tomorrow. I'm gonna be streaming on Wednesday. It was a nice session about volatility. I'm happy about that. It's a really interesting concept, which I don't think many people know what volatility even is, you know. Like, I swear 90% of traders don't know what volatility even is. Like, they've never heard about it, you know. And for me, it's one of the biggest advantages that I have in my trading. So I can highly recommend checking out volatility as a concept. You don't have to use the same indicator or whatsoever. It's just having volatility in your mind as a concept as a trader is important, in my opinion. Knowing when volatility is increasing in the market and when it's decreasing, you know, because this alone helps you to know when to risk less in your position and when to risk more in your positions. And even that is such a huge advantage to most other traders in the market, because almost no one uses this. So I can highly recommend this. This coming Wednesday, yes. So which date is it? On the 2022. All right, guys. See you guys this Wednesday, same time as always. Woods is going to be streaming tomorrow, so make sure to tune in that as well. Much love for you guys, and I see you guys soon. Bye bye.